Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 7, entitled What Prahlad Maharaj Learnt in the Womb. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Please repeat. Etavan eva loke smin pumshaha swata paraha smritaha ekanta bhakti govinde yat savatra tadhikshanam etavan eva lokosmi Pumsha swatha parasmritaha ekanta bhaktir govinde yadsavatra tadikshanam etavan eva lokesmin pumsha swatha parasmritaha Ekanta bhakti govinde yatsavatra tarikshanam. Please repeat. Etavan this much. Eva certainly. Loke asmin in this material world. Pumshaha sorry Pumshaha of this excuse me material body. Pumshaha of the living entity. Swa-artha, the real self-interest. Paraha, transcendental. Smritaha, regarded. Ekanta bhakti, unalloyed devotional service. Govinde, to Govinda, yet which, sarvatra, everywhere. Tarikshanam, seeing the relationship with Govinda, Krishna. Translation, Srila Prabhupada. In this material world, to render service to the lotus feet of Govinda, the cause of all causes, to see him everywhere is the only goal of life. This much alone is the ultimate goal of human life, as explained by all the revealed scriptures. Please repeat. In this material world, to render service to the lotus feet of Govinda, the cause of all causes, and to see him everywhere is the only goal of life. This much alone is the ultimate goal of human endeavor, as explained by all the revealed scriptures. Purport Srila Prabhupada. In this material world, in this verse, the word sarvatra tadikshanam describe the highest perfection of devotional service, in which one sees everything with reference to Govinda's activities. The highly elevated devotee never sees anything unrelated to Govinda. Stavara jagatam deke na deke taramurti savatrahaya nija ishtadeva spurti. The Mahabhagavat, the advanced devotee, certainly sees everything mobile and immobile, but he does not exactly see their forms. Rather, everywhere he immediately sees manifest the form of the Supreme Lord. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 8.274. Even in this material world, the devotee does not see materially manifested things. Instead, he sees Govinda in everything. When he sees a tree or a human being, a devotee sees them in relationship to Govinda. Govindam Adi Purusham. Govinda is the original source of everything. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karanam Karanam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. Brahma Samhita 5.1. The test of a perfect devotee is that he sees Govinda everywhere in this universe, even in every atomic particle. Andantarasta paramanu chayantarastam. This is the perfect vision of a devotee. It is therefore said, Narayanam ayam diraha pashyanti paramaparatitaha jagat thana mayam lubdha kama kuk kami ni mayam. A devotee sees everyone and everything in relationship with Narayan. Narayanam ayam. Everything is an expansion of Narayan's energy. Just as those who are greedy see everything as a source of money-making, and those who are lusty see everything as being conducive to sex, the most perfect devotee, Prahlad Maharaj, saw Narayan even within a stone column. This does not mean, however, that we must accept the words Daridra Narayan, which have been manufactured by some unscrupulous persons. One who actually envisions Narayan everywhere makes no distinction between the poor and the rich. To single out the Daridra Narayan or poor Narayan and reject the Dhani Narayan or rich Narayan is not the vision of a devotee. Rather, that is the imperfect vision of materialistic persons. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of 7th canto, 7th chapter of Bhagavatam, entitled What Prahlad Learned in the Womb. Mukam karochi vachalam bhangam laite girim yad kripa tamaham vande Shri Guru dinatarinam Etavan eva loko ismi Pumshaha swartha para smritaha ekanta bhakti govinde yasavatra tarikshanam. In this material world, to render service to the lotus feet of Govinda, the cause of all causes, and to see him everywhere, is the only goal of life. This much alone is the ultimate goal of human life, as explained by all the revealed scriptures. Yes. So this is the most secret of all secrets, right? In the Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna. So now I'm going to tell you the biggest secret. Manmana bhava mad bhakto majjaji mam namaskaru. That this is the purpose of human life, just like it is mentioned in the purport. The ultimate goal. So in life we have to have a goal. So the animal's goal is just to survive, right? We discussed last class a few days ago, 10 days ago, that the materialist is just thinking of things in terms of his survival. This is good for me, this is bad for me. This is enjoyable and this is not enjoyable. So this is the purpose, to enjoy this life. But this is misdirection. This is a fundamental misdirection, and it is an extremely dangerous misconception, because the material world is unsatisfactory. So when the human society has the goal of material acquisition and material enjoyment thereby, everyone feels dissatisfied. But just like the animal in the desert is wandering here and there, and he's licking a little in the morning water from the leaves of the cactus plant, and perhaps cutting his tongue and thinking, oh, this is some enjoyment at least. And he's going from one cactus and one bad position to the other, looking for satisfaction. He only becomes more greedy, because he thought on one cactus plant there was this much water, on the next cactus plant there will be more water. So this drives the living entity, individually and collectively, to become mad for sense enjoyment. Mad. And this takes the form of becoming mad for money. Because money becomes, in this, particularly at this time, is the medium through which you can enjoy. So what you have an individual and collective society of individual nations, all competing, all under this misconception that if we enjoy this material world, that is the perfection. And therefore, people come into conflict, because it's not satisfactory in the first place, so everyone's feeling frustrated, plus the facilities of the material world are limited. We can see that now, this ravenous Kali Yuga society. You cannot drink the water from the rivers. If you go into the city, you can hardly breathe the air. There's sound pollution everywhere. There's noise, dirt. The land, they're building these nuclear power and throwing the waste in the ground. So this region, this planet, this material world is characterized by limitation. The soul wants to enjoy ultimately Anandamoy Biyasat, Vedanta Sutra, number 4-5. We want to enjoy. That is the purpose, if you remember. At the beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Radha and Krishna are one. But to enjoy the bliss of pastimes, they have separated themselves entirely. So we are answer of Krishna. Krishna's purpose for creation is to enjoy rasa, spiritual rasa, unselfish, eternal, unlimited rasa. So we have that same characteristic, that innate desire to attain some blissful condition. But if we try to attain that in the limited material world, we will be frustrated, and not knowing anything, we will come into conflict with everybody else, because they're also competing for the resources. So we see, right, wars, world wars, interpersonal conflict within nations, so on and so forth. Why? It's not because of some philosophical understanding or this and that. Ultimately, it may present itself, you believe this and I believe that. But ultimately, it is a conflict over the limited resources by frustrated people. And this cannot be resolved. This cannot be resolved by material endeavor. Just like if you are in a dream, you entered into dream, swapna, and you're being chased by a tiger. The best solution is to wake up out of the dream, not to fight the tiger. The tiger is more powerful than you. Durga Devi, this material world is your little angsa. You can be covered by Maya, but Krishna cannot be covered. So that points the solution. And not only is Krishna not covered by Maya, but he is the source. He is the cause of all causes. Anadir Adi is the origin of every principle, and he is unlimited. So there is enough enjoyment in relationship to Krishna to satisfy every single billion, trillion spirit souls. More than enough. But that means being devoted to Krishna instead of ourselves. Instead of our, what was that, the last sloka we did? Sukhaya, Dukhaya, Mukshaya. Instead of being devoted to our own little idea of enjoyment, devotional service means to serve Krishna for his enjoyment. This is Anyabhilasita Sunyam Jnana Kamadi Anavritam Anukulyena Krishnanu. This is bhakti, it is favorable. Just like we know what's favorable for us, so under the tutelage of Krishna, of his representative, the spiritual master, we learn what is favorable to Krishna. What is favorable to Krishna? 9 things. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Admani, Vedanam. And Ekantir, Bhaktir, is stated here. One pointed. What is that sloka? Vivasatmika buddhir ekeha kurunandana bahushakas hyanantascha buddhaya. So those who are on this path, Sri Sri Gauritai, Sri Guru Parampara, Krishna Balaram, Radhasham Sundalali, Vishaka Shalagram Maharaj, Giri Govardhan, Tulsi Maharani, Vrindavan Dham, Go Mata Ki. So the devotee of Krishna is ekanta. He's not bahushakas, like a tree. He's got holds many branches. But the devotee has one purpose in life. He's not doing this and that and juggling this and that. His aim is to satisfy the spiritual master by following the instructions of the spiritual master. And then offering his service to the spiritual master for the pleasure of Krishna. So this should be the central core of human society. This should be everybody's understanding when they reach the human form. But of course, it will not be so. So, we have here a good example. Hiranyakashipu. A very good example. There are so many people. There will always be in this material world those that are atheistic, demoniac. They don't accept the supremacy of Krishna. They don't accept their own origin. Can you imagine being so confused? You may be a little annoyed with your father, but you must recognize he exists. And you must recognize your debt, your existence to your father. This is materially, we can say it like that. So the atheist doesn't want to recognize even the existence of his Supreme Father, Anadir Adir Govinda, nor does he want to please his father. He wants to say it doesn't exist, that I am the cause of all causes. And so we saw Prabhupada in this philosophy, the materialistic people, they're always trying to denigrate that source of all causes. that Dhani Narayan, that is full of wealth and opulence and bestowing it upon the creation for the benefit of his expansions, they don't want to recognize that person, they want to replace that person with themselves. But it can't be done in the material world, because there is one God in the material world, Mrityu Samsara, Mrityu Sarva Haras Chaham, that all-devouring death. You may attain a penthouse, or you may be sleeping on the side of the road, but whatever you call your own is all going to be devoured by death. And all you will be left with is the ticket that you bought through your life's activities. That ticket, your karma, that will define your next birth. And then you'll go through the whole thing again. Very terrible. Birth, death, old age, disease. You'll go into this material world, and now you may be competing for resources amongst the human beings and the human nations, trying to become the top dog. But next life you may actually be trying to be the top dog in a dog body, if you're lucky. Or you may go down, you may become a microbe, you may become a germ, you may become Paramanu, the smallest little filthy thing in the universe, living in squalid condition, working your way up to human form of life because of your ticket. The ticket that you bought exploiting your material situation. So this is the present situation. We can see it very obviously in the material world at the moment. Everywhere conflict, pollution of mind, nature, thought, soul, everything is becoming polluted. Because the rejection of the Supreme Lord. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, what is Yaduttama Sloka Gunanavam? It says that the lifetime we have is cut from the morning to the night, one more day. It's cut. And it is taking us to this death. It is taking us to the end of this material body, and we're blessed with another one. So that is the progress to death. But the Bhagavatam explains, however, those who inquire and hear from the proper source of the unlimited glories, guna, qualities of Uttama Sloka, that Supreme Lord who is praised by wonderful poetic composition, the Vedic literature, the Bhagavatam in particular, that person who spends his life in inquiry and devotion and understanding of that personality, his life is expanding. His life is becoming liberated. Shravanam, we said that's 9, but Shravanam, everything Prabhupada explained, that Shravanam is the most important. We might say, oh well, Hare Krishna is most important, you must chant. But how will you chant unless you hear first? Right? I remember the first time, if I may, first time I chanted Hare Krishna, or I heard. Do you want to know? I was about 14 or 15, and I had a paper round. You know a paper round in England? They have paper boys. You get a bag full of papers, morning papers, and you deliver them. And then at the end of the week you get a few shillings. So I'd finished my paper round. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was sitting on my bicycle at the side of the road, and I saw this van coming up the road. But it was a Manchester morning, so there was lots of steam. It was a cold, damp morning. And I heard this, Hare Krishna, Hare. This van was moving up slowly. So eventually I was on the opposite side of the road, and it came level, and there were 3 devotees pushing it. There was one Mataji inside driving it. They'd run out of petrol. So that was my introduction to chanting Hare Krishna. Anyway, so I thought. But I remember distinctly hearing the chanting. And as they pulled level with me, I could see that they were all in dhoti and kurta. This was Manchester. This was before Krishna consciousness was worldwide, you can say. So I thought, this is happening. I was taking it all in. So, but they were chanting, and they looked across at me. And it was Gurudas and Mukunda, they were pushing, And the Mataji, I think it was, she's on the GBC, Malati. I think, they were coming to England about that time. So, I remember thinking, and just hearing the sound, because there wasn't any traffic then. It was early in the morning, and that was long back before eternal traffic jams. And I could hear the chanting, and I was thinking, this sounds like a festival, right? It sounded like a celebration. Even though they were pushing the van up the road, the atmosphere was celebratory. It sounded like it was a good festival. So that was my first impression. So that is correct. The Hare Krishna mantra, which we hear, and the Srimad Bhagavatam, the description of the slokas, the personality of Godhead, this is, when we do this, when we bring it on the street and we make programs and we tell people the message of the Bhagavatam, this is a festival. We're bringing the real festival to earth. We're bringing the eternal festival. We're bringing everyone the way out of the cycle of birth and death. And that is a great celebration, is it not? There are 8,400,000 species of life. Do we want any one more? No. Let's get our spiritual body and serve Krishna eternally in that way. So this is a festival. And what does Narottam, Kevalananda Kanda, that Narottam Lord Chaitanya has brought a process that is simply joyful. Kevalananda Kanda. What does Krishna say in the Gita? Sasukam kartam avyayam. The devotional service is joyfully performed. Why? Because we are in contact with the Supreme Ananda. But not for the purpose of enjoying the Ananda, that pure bhakti, but rather we want to serve his Ananda. We want to serve the Ananda of Radha and Krishna, of Gaunitai. We don't want this compulsion to view reality in terms of what's good and bad for me. This is the perverted consciousness. But actually, within the human species, we can understand this ekantir bhakti, this unmotivated, anyabhilasita, no material hankering, jnana, no speculative idea of the Absolute, but a realized understanding of the Absolute, and at the same time, no desire to merge into the Absolute and become the Absolute, no desire to get some karma, some phal, some fruit, but anukulyena, just favorable. Just like you offer a flower to somebody with love. So we offer to Krishna foodstuffs, singing, chanting, distribution of knowledge, just so that he is enjoying that. That is the final point of creation and the final point of everything. That and Krishna, to enjoy the pastimes has expanded himself, Radha and Krishna. So, but out of his unlimited generosity, he has invited every spirit soul to join him in this ecstasy. This is the point. He's self-sufficient, Atmaram, but there's a very good discussion in the Jaiva Dharma about that. The question is asked, it's also in Vedanta Sutra. The question is asked that the Supreme Lord is Anandamoy Vyasat. He's full of unlimited pleasure. He's reciprocating with Radharani. Why? Question is asked, why? If he is full of unlimited pleasure, if he is an Adir, if he's the source of everything, cause of all causes, why does he have to engage in pastimes? Why isn't he just sitting there, vibrating? Sounds boring, doesn't it? So the explanation is, yes, that the Supreme Lord is unlimited, but his unlimited nature is growing. And by engaging in pastimes, this stimulates the expansion of his ecstasy. So everybody, every spirit soul, Mavai Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, we all belong to Krishna. But instead of struggling with the material nature, we should be engaged in this expansion of spiritual ecstasy that takes place on the transcendental platform. So, the entrance to that natural state for the soul is very simple. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. We say that this is the greatest secret, right? Manmana bhava mad bhakto madjaji mam namaskaru. But it's very interesting the way Krishna has constructed that sloka. As you know, there are three psychic movements, thinking, feeling and willing, correct? And then they produce activity. Thinking, feeling, willing, activity. So, in that sloka, Krishna has explained, Manmana, this is what we should think about. Manmana, fix the consciousness on Krishna through the descriptions given by the great Mahajans. Try to understand their words. It's a big job, but it is more than possible, and it is the job for which we are made to understand the Supreme Lord. Manmana, but how? Bhavamad Bhakta. Thinking, feeling. So we must think of Krishna with the devotional mood. So from the association of the words and activities, the Leela of the great Mahajans, we develop, it awakens our Krishna consciousness. What is that? Shravanadi Sudachitte Kride Uday. It wakes up. Sudachitte, the consciousness becomes wakened up. But in the period of bhakti, we follow Vaidhi Bhakti because it regulates and purifies our activities and helps us to conjure up and awaken this Bhakti Bhav, Seva Bhav. So thinking, feeling, willing. Majjaji. So as the soul wakes up more and more, he wants to worship Krishna through his realization given by his mood of bhakti and meditation. He wants to serve it. He wants yaji. He wants to worship Krishna. And then, because he feels great gratitude to Krishna, we have to realize that we're existing. Sat Chit Ananda, Sat, mentioned here, Sat, we have to realize that we are eternal, we are existing. everything is a gift from Krishna. Our existence is a gift. So, when we realize the generosity of Krishna, the arrangement and his perfect arrangement, then Majjaji, then the heart fills with devotion and we want to offer everything to Krishna. And then, offering everything, mam namaskuru, action. That means with the body we pay obeisances in a mood of gratitude and glorification of Krishna. So this is the most secret of all secrets. And one who practices this, he awakens Nityasiddha Krishna Prem. It's there within the heart, but it's sleeping because we're not practicing Sudachitte. We're not purifying the mind by Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. So, that is the solution to the individual and collective problems of life. But this material world will always be a place of birth, death and old age and disease. So sometimes it is stated in the Shastra and that through the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, for 10,000 years, there will be a period where this knowledge of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Parasevanam is widely available. And this will bring a golden period. But we should always remember that this golden period will not eradicate the nature of this material world. The nature of this material world, it will always be a place of birth, death, old age and disease. However, if people take to Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Bhakti, then the material conditions can become very perfect and convenient for spiritual realization. So this is the meaning of the golden period through the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we all have a great responsibility, somehow or other, by the mercy of the devotees pushing the van up the road, or some way, we all have an individual story. We have all been, we've all come to the lotus feet of Gaur Nitai, Radhesham Sundar, Krishna Balaram. We've all come somehow or other, and we're all in our own way trying to improve our bhakti, our sadhana. So we have a great responsibility to give this message to the world. Prabhupada always emphasizes this point. And we see the greatest devotees, 6 Goswamis, Madhavendra, they were always ready to propagate this knowledge. There's a mistake sometimes. Again, it's from Mayavadi type, impersonalistic. Oh, when you take to spiritual life, you retire from the world. Well, that may be so. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you may be interested to know, for the last 6 years of his life, practically didn't communicate with the outside world. You know that? He stayed opposite the samadhi of Haridas Thakur. He had one servant called Krishnadas. And of course, before that period, he was writing a whole ocean of bhakti literature. But in those last years, he was simply sitting in complete samadhi. And his servant would bring him some foodstuffs, take him to bathroom, clean him. But he wouldn't. He hardly communicated. He was so immersed in the pastimes of Gunanavanya Uttamasloka. He was so immersed that he was not relating We cannot understand that mentality, but we can have some glimpses. So, and then he passed away on at 12 o'clock on the disappearance day of Gadadhar Pandit. So, these great souls, they have given this knowledge, so for the individual and collective good of society. And now it is our responsibility in our own little way to propagate this knowledge. And that is most favorable to Gaunitai, to distribute this knowledge, to give people the chance to break this cycle of birth, death, old age and disease. That is our responsibility. And if we do that, then Gaunitai will take us as the members of his Sankirtan party. He will take us as one of his. And is there anything greater than that? Gaunitai ki jai. So we'll finish on that point. Any questions? Yes, go ahead.
You were giving the example of the dream. In a dream, you see the tiger is chasing you and you forget. But sometimes in the dream, you see the
What tree? I didn't mention a tree. I said plant and a cactus. Huh? Oh, dream.
So in the dream, somebody sees the tiger is chasing, the tiger is snatching him, is crying. When he wakes up from the sleep and he's crying, and then you see nothing is happening. So can you say something?
Well, that's what I brought that example up for. You missed the second part. The point is we have to wake up from the material dream. Just like if you're being, like I said, you're being chased by the temple commander. In your dream, what is the solution? Wake up. And then spontaneously say, how can I serve under your direction, O temple commander? So we have to wake up from being affected by tamagun, and we have to become spontaneous, raga bhakti. So it's to get that awakening, we have to, and this is a very important point, we have to listen to Uttama Sloka, the literature. We have to hear about Krishna, because that contains the potency to awaken our attraction to the all-attractive, you see. If we just, there's some benefit just externally and mechanically going through in a dreamy way, devotional service. But when we understand, like I said last week, the Dashamula, when we are absorbing our mind, this is the first part of devotional service. Jayatam Surato Pangor Mama Mande Mategati Mat Sarvasya Padam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano. Right? I take shelter of Radha Madana. He is the attractor of Cupid. I'm attracted by Cupid. He's making me sleep and dream in this world. But by the grace of Madan Mohan, the attractor of Cupid, I can become attracted to Krishna. So that is the time of Sambandha Gyan. Sambandha Gyan means to gain Siddhanta, to understand the spiritual message clearly and perfectly. That gives liberation. Then we can move to awakened devotional service. Then the deity is Radha Govinda. Divyad Brindar Ranga Kalpa Drumado Srimad Ratnaga Simhasanaso Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prastalibi Sayamano Smarani. I worship Radha Govinda. who are seated on a jeweled throne under a desire tree in Vrindavan, and they're being worshipped by their intimate associates. So this is the deity. Once you have attained Siddhanta and you understand the philosophical basis of Krishna consciousness, if you understand the Vedic import, then you become liberated. Then you can worship Radha Govinda in this formalized setting. They're worshipped by their intimate associates seated on a jeweled throne under a desire tree. So there's a science to this, bhakti. So we worship Radha Govinda, Govinda mentioned through, because Govinda gives that higher taste. Govinda means one who gives pleasure to the mind and senses. So Govinda. So then it's easy to give up Maya once you're getting the taste of Radha Govinda. But then, so you're getting the ruchi, and then the next deity of the sadhaka is the Uttamadhikari platform, liberated Bhava Bhakta, Prem Bhakta, is Shriman Rasa Rasa Ramvi Vamsivata Tista Stito Karshan Venu Swanaya Gopir Gopinath Sriya Stanaha. I worship Gopinath, who's standing on the bank of the Jamuna playing the flute, attracting the whole universe and his intimate devotees for their pastimes. So there's a progression. So the first stage of bhakti in this is to understand Bhagavad-Gita, nectar of instruction, nectar of devotion, understand everything very nicely. And then we can enter into bhakti more clearly. As we enter into bhakti more clearly, with a clearer and liberated understanding, then we can get some rasa. And then we can become established in stahibhav, swarup siddhi. Then we can understand our spiritual body, which will manifest from the soul. The soul is the swarup, the siddhi, the swarup, the spiritual form, is the devotee's ecstatic devotion. It is a manifestation of the ecstatic devotion intrinsic to the soul. So we understand all these things, we understand the process very nicely. And then we engage in bhakti with enthusiasm, confidence, patience, avoiding bad association, following rules and regulations. Then we will become perfect. Because perfection is already there. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem. It's already there in the heart. But it just has to be awoken. It's covered now because it's in its sleeping condition. But when the soul wakes up to the spiritual energy, then all the sleeping condition of material desire and what's good for me, what's not good for me, all this confused thinking, trying to control the material energy, this all becomes forgotten when one just appreciates the Supreme Lord. And then one enters into the eternal transcendental pastimes of Krishna. So this is, we have to awaken to this by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Right, Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Bole, Tisa Chera Kole. How long will you sleep in the lap of Maya? We're sleeping in the lap of Maya. Who's like a witch putting a spell on you. How to get rid of, the beginning of the Bhagavatam says, all the ghosts and spirits, they run away from the devotee because he chants Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Yeah, all those Hiranyakashipus, they think, oh my God, I'm getting away from this guy. So, yes.
One more point there is.
One point or question.
Just like you said, your Sankirtan movement, Nityananda Prabhu will take through your Sankirtan movement. So, also I want to know that when we say Brahmana Bhavaman Bhakto Madhyatimanam Suram what is the
That's no, you said a point. Okay, your question.
Hare Krishna. Actually, we came to know there are two worlds. One is spiritual world, another is material world. So in this material world, there are many elements. That is, some of them are living elements, some are non-living elements.
Elements.
Okay. So in spite of having a lot of living elements, we, as a whole, we call it the material world. So why this whole system is called the material world? In the physics, as a knowledge of physics, we know if there is no life, then this is the material things. But in the material world, we have some living entities, some non-living entities. Still, as a whole, we call this is the material world. Can you have any explanation regarding these points?
I'm not sure I understand your question. The material world, it gives forgetfulness. But ultimately, because it's an emanation of Krishna, it is spiritual. But we call it material because, from our point of view, conditioned living entity, it makes us forget Krishna. The Pradhan is the Chit Shakti. From the Pradhan, all the material elements are created. But the Chit Shakti, with the admixture of tamas, as Mahavishnu enters into his Leela of Yoga Nidra with Ramadevi, it has an element of tamas. So all the material creation tends to make the non-devoted soul forget Krishna. Forgetfulness is natural to this world. So the solution is to remember. And then, as Prabhupada explains in the purport, then you see Krishna everywhere. Then the material and spiritual, this differentiation is gone. You see, from Krishna's point of view, Golok Vrindavan or Gokul Vrindavan, they're all his place of pastimes. It's the same for the devotees, the liberated devotees. This is all spiritual, it is all related to Krishna. This is the point. Savatra, ekante bhakti, to see Krishna everywhere. And then the distinction of this is an area where forgetfulness of Krishna is prevalent, and this is a place of remembrance, and this division, this fades away. So everything is spiritual. But we realize that by uniting our consciousness with Krishna. Does that answer your question? It was a bit jumbled from my point of view. Make it into one sentence, your question.
So my point is, in the material world, we have some living beings, like human beings, so there are many living entities, and some non-living entities like pigs, table chairs.
What?
Table chairs, all these things.
Well, yes, the material world.
Basically, the point of physics, these are all the material.
Yes.
But we are the living beings, so we have lives. We can move from one point to another point. So when we are talking about material worlds, we are including both the living and non-living entities. So as there are many living beings like human, but still when we are talking that there are two worlds, one is spiritual world, another is the material world. In the material world, so being having a lot of living entities, still we are called as a material. So that is why I am just having some confusion. Do you have any explanation regarding these material worlds?
Well, this is the secondary energy, this material energy. So it gives this forgetfulness of Krishna. But that is easily countered by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But ultimately everything is spiritual. And all living entities, they're covered. Like Hiranyakashipu is actually a great devotee, but he's covered. Well, if you've got to speak on the phone when I answer, what kind of an insult is that? All right, thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.